this is Eric Thompson. I am founder and financial advisor at Peerless Wealth. We are a SEC registered investment advisory firm headquartered in Columbus, Ohio. Thank you for tuning in. It is wintertime. It is cold in Ohio, and this is about the time of year that myself and a lot of my clients want to take a trip down south. And a year does not go by when I don't have a conversation with a client that is curious on if it makes sense for them to invest in a vacation home with the idea that they'll secure a place to vacation in, potentially retire in, and it'll go up in value and quote unquote pay for itself. They can lock in today's prices, they can have the tenants pay for the mortgage, and they'll build all this equity. And it sounds great, and it potentially can look good on paper, but let me go through the numbers because I've seen these backfire, and I actually have some personal experience with this, having owned a vacation home, not owning it anymore. And let me make one thing clear: these are actual vacation homes, not timeshares. Please do not buy a timeshare. I'm not even going to go into all the reasons why. I think most of you are smart enough not to. Just don't. So let's do some math, and we have to make an assumption. Let's assume that this person is 50 years old and they have a 10-year time horizon. They want to retire to Florida, and they're looking at a condo that costs $500,000. And they plan to rent it out and hopefully pay for itself and build equity and then retire down there. And let's assume that they're going to put 20% down, which is $100,000 down. They're going to borrow the rest, which would be $400,000. Today's rates are around 7%, and they're going to do a 30-year fixed. That would make their monthly principal and interest payment $2,661. On top of that, they'd have property taxes. I'm estimating that to average about $625 a month. Condo due. These are all over the map, but I did a little bit of research. I'm going to estimate $600 a month there. These have gone up because they usually include the insurance on the exterior of it. And a lot of these places in Florida and California, their insurance is a lot higher now because of potential hurricanes and other natural disasters. So $600 for condo dues, utilities, cleaning, miscellaneous, another $500 a month. So your total cost per month, $4,386. Multiplied by 12, $52,632 per year. But I'm going to rent it out, right? Okay, let's look at that. Rent, I'm going to assume on a $500,000 condo, you're going to average about $4,000 a month in rent. Obviously that can vary, but I did some research and I think I'm comfortable with that figure. You're not going to rent a condo in Florida in June, July, and August. No one wants to go down there. So I assume you'd rent that 7 months out of the year. That gives you $28,000 in rent. Most likely, you're not going to be able to find all these tenants on your own. You're going to need to hire a property manager to keep it on a website and handle tenant inquiries and so on and so forth. They're going to charge something. I use 15%. So your net rent, $23,800. So your total rent per year, $23,800. Total cost per year, $52,632. So you have an annual loss of $28,832. Kind of tough. Yeah, but I'm building equity, Eric, right? This is going up in price and I'm paying down my mortgage. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Let's look at that. You bought it for $500,000. Historically, in this country, real estate has averaged about 3% appreciation per year. I'm going to be generous and use 4. $500,000 appreciating at 4% annually for 10 years means that condo would be worth $745,000 after year 10. Your $400,000 on your mortgage after 10 years of payments would be $343,000. So you would have equity at the end of 10 years of $402,000. Not bad. But remember, that costs you almost $29,000 a year in out-of-pocket costs. And I'm not including, if you need a new roof, if there's a flood, if a tenant messes a bunch of things up, could be worse. And even after 10 years, you still have 20 years left on the mortgage. So you're really not, you're not out of the woods. And by owning it, of course, you've sacrificed time. You've had to keep, financial records, do tax returns, deal with tenants, property manager, potentially condo boards, floods, hurricanes, other things too. So let me give you an alternative. Take that $100,000 that you were going to put down on this vacation home, invest that in an investment account. If I were managing it, I would diversify it between things like an S&P 500 index fund, small company stocks, real estate investment trusts, some bonds, kind of a moderate to growth-oriented portfolio. That type of portfolio has averaged over long periods of time somewhere around 8%. I'm going to use 7%. So let's say you took that 100 grand, plus you took the 28,832 that you would have paid and all these costs to keep the place up. You added that to the investment portfolio and you did that for 10 years. What would it be worth growing at 7%? Well, it would be worth about $617,000. So would you rather have $617,000 in a liquid available investment portfolio or 402 grand in home equity? I'd rather have the 617. I would use that as my vacation fund in retirement, and I would go about anywhere I'd want for a very long time on that money and not be sort of tied down to one place. That's my 2 cents on this. Things could change this analysis. Obviously, if interest rates were lower, your costs would go down. If home appreciation was higher than 4%, you'd probably need both those two things to happen to get the 400,000 in equity, the 600,000 to match the 600,000 in the portfolio. None of this stuff is guaranteed, but I think this is a pretty good way to look at it. Some might say, well, don't I get a tax write-off because of the real estate? You do. You get to write off depreciation, which might save you a few $1,000s a year in taxes in this example. However, when you sell the property, you have to recapture that depreciation. I learned that when I sold my property, and then you just pay the taxes then. So it's really just a deferred tax. It's not really an avoidance of tax. For some people, it might make sense, but I think the type of individuals this makes sense for are the ultra wealthy and that have all their other financial obligations met. They've secured their retirement. They have plenty of extra money, and they truly can afford to do this without really caring about the math that I just did. But for most of us, I would take a hard look at this math before a decision like that. And these are the types of decisions that I counsel my clients on. And I appreciate you tuning in and learning a little bit more about this, and hope you tune in next time. Thanks a lot.